The late afternoon sun cast a warm golden glow over the backyard of our new home in Willow Creek, a quiet suburban enclave we'd moved to 6 months ago, hoping for peace after years of chaos. My daughter, Lily, stood on the grass, her small hands clutching a cello, the bow trembling slightly as she drew it across the strings. The sound wasn't perfect, her notes wavered, sometimes sharp, sometimes flat, but to me, it was the most beautiful thing I'd ever heard. At 13, with her dark curls falling into her hazel eyes, Lily had fought harder than most kids her age to find her voice. Autism had made her world a maze of sensory overload and unspoken rules, but the cello was her compass, guiding her through the noise. "Daddy, listen," she called, her voice bright with pride as she played a shaky rendition of a Bach prelude. I grinned from the patio, my chest swelling. It had been 2 years since her mother, Sarah, died in a car accidental loss that had left us both adrift. This moment, with Lily's music filling the air, felt like a fragile lifeline to something better. I'd taken a desk job with the U.S. Marshal Service VYC after the crash, trading fieldwork for stability, keeping my profession under wraps. In my experience, people got twitchy around law enforcement, and I wanted Willow Creek to be a fresh start, not a stage for scrutiny. That peace shattered with a sharp rap on the front door. I set down my coffee and crossed the Leave VYing room, opening the door to find a woman standing there, her posture rigid, a clipboard clutched like shield. She wore a crisp blazer despite the August heat, her blonde hair pulled into a tight bun. "Mr. Daniel Carter?" she asked, her tone clipped, her smile a thin veneer. "I'm Evelyn Pierce, president of the Willow Creek Homeowners Association. We need to address a noise issue from your property." I glanced back at Lily, still playing Obli VY us to the interruption. "My daughter's practicing her cello," I said, keeping my voice even. "It's 5 p.m. well within the town's noise ordinance." Evelyn's eyes narrowed, her pen tapping the clipboard. "The HOA covenants prohibit disruptive noises that interfere with neighbors' enjoyment. I've had multiple complaints about the racket." She thrust a printed sheet at me, a formal warning typed in bold letters. I took it, my jaw tightening. "It's not a racket. Lily's autistic. Music helps her cope. She just got into the county youth orchestra, her first big win. I think a community like this would support that." Her expression didn't budge. "I sympathize, Mr. Carter, but rules are rules. If she needs to play, do it indoors or somewhere else. This isn't negotiable." She turned on her heel and left, her heels clicking against the pavement like a metronome set to judgment. I closed the door, the paper crumpling slightly in my fist. Lily peeked around the corner, her bow dangling at her side. "Did I do something wrong, Daddy?" Her voice was small, her eyes wide with worry. "No, kiddo," I said. "Some people just don't get it yet. We'll figure this out." I tried. I built a practice space in the garage, lining it with foam panels to muffle the sound, but the complaints kept coming. Fines arrived in the mail due law 50, then due law 100, then due law 200, each one a slap in the face. Lily's joy began to fray. She'd flinched before picking up her cello, her hands shaking as she whispered, "Maybe I should stop." I'd kneel beside her, promising we wouldn't give up, but inside, I was seething. This wasn't just about noisy, it felt personal, targeted. One evening, I caught Evelyn herself in our backyard, snapping photos of Lily's music stand with her phone. I stormed out, my voice low but sharp. "What the hell are you doing?" She didn't flinch. "As HOA president, I have inspection rights. You're set up VY OLAT's covenant standards. You're trespassing," I shot back. "Touch my daughter's things again, and we'll have a problem." Her lips curled into a smirk. "Is that a threat, Mr. Carter?" "It's a boundary," I said, stepping closer. "Learn to respect it." The next Saturday, Lily was mid-practice when a police cruiser rolled up, lights flashing. She dropped her bow, her hands flying to her ears as she rocked back and forth. I rushed to her side, glaring at the officer stepping out, an older man with a weathered face and a badge reading Officer Hayes. Evelyn stood across the street, arms crossed, watching like a hawk. "We got a call about a disturbance," Hayes said, his tone apologetic. Someone reported a child in distress. She's not in distress, I snapped, gesturing to Lily. She's autistic and playing her cello. This is harassment. Hayes glanced at Lily, then at Evelyn, his brow furrowing. I'll need to file this as a welfare check, but I don't see a problem here. He hesitated, then added, my niece has autism. Loves the piano. I get it. He tipped his hat and left, but the damage was done. Lily wouldn't touch her cello for days. That night, an email from the HOA hit my inbox. A lien notice for due, Lyle 1,500 in unpaid fines. Lily found me staring at the screen, my hands clenched. Are we losing our house? She whispered. No, I said, pulling her close. They don't know who they're messing with. I'd spent 15 years as a U.S. Marshal, tracking fugitives and protecting witnesses from cartels and mobsters. I knew how to fight legally, methodically, ruthlessly. Evelyn Pierce had picked the wrong family. The emergency HOA 30 neighbors packed the community center, folding chairs creaking under the weight of tension. Evelyn stood at the front, gavel in hand. The Carter situation has escalated beyond noise complaints, she declared, projecting photos of Lily playing onto a screenshots taken from her own window, zoomed in on my daughter's face. 17 complaints have been filed. Property values are at risk. Lily sat beside me, headphones on, sketching in her notebook to block out the noise. I stood, my voice cutting through the murmurs. Those photos were taken without consent. My daughter's autistic, and her cello is therapy documented by her doctor. I requested an accommodation under the Fair Housing Act 6 weeks ago. You ignored it. Evelyn waved a hand. We deemed it that's illegal, I said, my tone ice cold. The FHA mandates accommodations for disabilities. You've also selectively enforced rules, mister. Why? Because Lily's different. The room shifted, whispers growing. A gray-haired man, Tom Ellis, stood. I never complained. I like the music, reminds me of my old jazz days. Evelyn's face reddened. The board has EVY Denke. Then let's see it. I interrupted, slamming a folder onto the table. I've got signed statements from every neighbor on our block. None of them complained. And this, I held up a USB drive, is footage of you trespassing in my yard. State law calls that a misdemeanor. Chaos erupted. Neighbors shouted, some at Evelyn, others at each other. She banged her gavel, but the tide was turning. We're MOVYing to EVYCT, she yelled over the noise. File on 19.4 disruptive BHA VY, or... I stepped forward, my voice low but carrying. I'm a U.S. Marshal. I've spent years upholding the law. You've filed false police reports, VYOLA. I've already contacted HUD. Push this, and you'll face more than a board vote. The room went silent, Evelyn's gavel frozen midair. Officer Hayes, off duty in the back, nodded slightly, confirming my words. The meeting dissolved into arguments, but as we left, neighbors approached Tom, offering a handshake, a woman named Clara suggesting Lily teach her son cello. The community was cracking open. 3 days later, another cop car arrived, this time with a county inspector in tow. Evelyn trailed behind, smug. Unpermitted modifications, the inspector said, eyeing the foam panels in the garage. We got a report. They're temporary, I said, showing him the setup. No permits needed. He inspected, then turned to Evelyn. He's right. This isn't structural. You're wasting my time. Her smugness faltered. The HOA requires. HOA can't override county code, he snapped, walking off. Evelyn glared at me. This isn't over, Carter. But I was done playing defense. The next morning, I put on my full marshal uniform badge gleaming, sidearm holstered in, drove to the HOA's regional office. The receptionist paled as I approached. I'm Deputy U.S. Marshal Daniel Carter. I need to see your manager about harassment and discrimination. Minutes later, I sat across from a sweating exec named Mark Grayson. We just processed board decisions, he stammered as I laid out my EVY densifines, trespassing, HUD complaint. You're liable if those decisions break federal law, I said, sliding a formal letter across the table. Rescind the fines and draft an accommodation plan, or this goes to court in the press. Grayson promised a response within 48 hours. As I left, my phone buzzed. A text from a reporter at Channel 5 tipped off about the story. Word was spreading. The fallout came fast. At the next meeting, neighbors held signs, "Let Lily play, fairness now," and the board caved, rescinding the fines. Evelyn doubled down, but her support crumbled. Then I dug into the HOA's books. As a new board member elected by write-in votes, I hadn't sought and found the real dirt. Evelyn had siphoned Dula's $60,000 into a shell company owned by her cousin, masked as maintenance fees. I took it to the county prosecutor, a grizzled vet named Laura Hines. "You're sure?" she asked, flipping through my files. 15 years chasing money trails, I said. "She's cooked." Evelyn's arrest hit the news, her mugshot plastered across screens. The reporter linked her vendetta against Lily to her embezzlement control was her game, and we'd threatened it. Willow Creek rallied around us. Clara's husband, a contractor, built a sound-dampened gazebo in the community park for Lily's lessons. Tom started a music mornings group, kids and adults jamming together. Even Hayes showed up at a barbecue we hosted, his daughter shyly asking Lily for cello tips. One spring evening, Lily performed in that gazebo, her Bach prelude steady and strong. The crowd 50 neighbors now cheered, and she grinned, truly seen. Later, as fireflies danced, Clara handed me a plaque, Lily's Garden, the park renamed in her honor. "She's changed this place," Clara said. I watched Lily chase a firefly, laughing with a freedom I'd feared she'd lost. "She's changed me," I replied. In my career, I'd faced killers and kingpins, but this fight for my daughter's right to be herself was the hardest and the sweetest victory I'd ever won. If you were the one in this story, how would you react? Would you stand up and fight back, or accept the unreasonable pressure and control from the HOA? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And don't forget to subscribe, like, and share this video with more people. Your small action gives us the motivation to keep bringing you more intense and engaging stories. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.